Imagine being punished for doing the right thing. That's exactly what happened to a young boy named Caleb. He saw a person in need, reached out with a kind heart, and instead of praise, he was met with handcuffs. Arrested for showing compassion, he faced something no child should ever go through. But this story doesn't end there. You won't believe what happened next and the powerful message it sends. Caleb's heart raced with excitement as he walked through his neighborhood, a place he knew like the back of his hand. Each street held memories, from learning to ride his bike to playing tag with his friends until the sun went down. His world was simple, his biggest concerns being school, friends, and staying out of trouble. But if there was one thing his mother had drilled into him, it was the importance of kindness. Kindness costs nothing, Caleb, she'd say, but it means everything to those who receive it. So, when Caleb saw a stranger in distress on that fateful afternoon, he didn't hesitate. The elderly man seemed confused, struggling with his bags and looking around as if lost. Caleb felt a pull, a deep sense of duty to help. Without a second thought, he approached, offered a smile, and extended his hand, not realizing that this small act would set off a whirlwind that would flip his life upside down. To Caleb, he was just doing what anyone would do. But soon, everything he'd been taught about kindness, fairness, and justice would be put to the test. In the blink of an eye, his good deed became a magnet for misunderstandings and accusations. And before he knew it, Caleb's act of kindness had turned him into a suspect, landing him in a situation that would forever change him and his family. He was about to learn in the most painful way that sometimes doing the right thing can come with unimaginable costs. As Caleb stood there in disbelief, he felt his cheeks burn with humiliation. The cold metal of the handcuffs bit into his wrists, each click echoing through his mind like a bad dream. He looked to the elderly woman, his only witness, hoping she could somehow convince the officers that he'd only been trying to help. But her words, though true and earnest, fell on deaf ears. The officers seemed locked in their assumptions, uninterested in the details, and blind to the kindness in Caleb's heart. In the eyes of those officers, Caleb was not just a young boy with good intentions. They had judged him by something far beyond his actions. He'd heard stories of things like this happening, but he never thought it would happen to him. He thought his good intentions would be enough for people to see him clearly, but now he was beginning to realize how the world could see him through a different lens, one he didn't understand but could feel intensely. His mind raced as they led him away, his confusion slowly transforming into a painful awareness. His dreams, his innocence, and his faith in the goodness of the world all felt shattered in that instant. All he had done was offer a helping hand, but now it seemed as though that simple, kind gesture had turned into a nightmare, leaving him questioning everything he had believed about fairness and justice. Caleb's story had sparked something he never could have anticipated, a movement for justice. The more people learned about what happened to him, the louder the outrage grew. Caleb had never thought of himself as a symbol, let alone the center of a social movement. But as the community continued to rally around him, he began to see his experience as part of a larger issue that needed to be addressed. Local leaders organized events where people shared their own stories of facing prejudice, and Caleb's voice became one of many in a chorus calling for change. These gatherings were powerful. Caleb saw families, young people, and elders who had faced their own battles with discrimination, and it opened his eyes to the deep-rooted challenges that so many lived with every day. He was no longer just a young boy who had helped an elderly woman. He was now a figure who represented a call for fairness, and for the first time, he began to see his own pain in a new light. Amid this support, Caleb's mother continued to work tirelessly. She reached out to lawyers, civil rights groups, and anyone who would listen to bring attention to her son's case. She wouldn't let Caleb's ordeal be swept under the rug. Her fierce love and unwavering commitment inspired others to join the fight, showing Caleb what true resilience looked like. Every time she spoke at an event or talked to a reporter, Caleb felt a swell of pride and a growing desire to be a part of this change. Eventually, even national news outlets picked up the story, and Caleb's situation became a catalyst for discussions about justice and fairness in communities across the country. As media coverage grew, so did the calls for a formal investigation into the officers' actions that day. Caleb's mother and their community had pushed tirelessly, and finally, their efforts seemed to be paying off. For Caleb, each day brought new challenges as he tried to come to terms with everything that had happened. But surrounded by support and seeing the change his story was sparking, he felt a new sense of purpose. This wasn't just about what had happened to him anymore. It was about ensuring that no one else would have to go through the same ordeal simply for offering a helping hand. Caleb still wrestled with the injustice of it all, but he felt something else too: hope. As the crowd outside erupted in cheers, Caleb felt an overwhelming wave of emotion wash over him. He was no longer just a boy who tried to help an elderly woman. He was now a catalyst for change, standing among those who believed in a brighter, more just future. The chants of justice for Caleb echoed in his ears, blending with the pride and determination that filled his heart. Caleb's mother hugged him tightly, tears streaming down her face, not just from joy, but from relief. She had fought tirelessly to clear her son's name, and in that moment, it felt like all their struggles were finally being recognized. "You did it, Caleb," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "You made them listen." The local news cameras were rolling, capturing the scene for audiences across the country. Caleb knew that his story was about to reach an even wider audience, and with it, the message of kindness and understanding would continue to spread. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone who had faced injustice for simply trying to do the right thing. As Caleb walked through the throng of supporters, he felt their energy invigorating him. They lifted him up, chanting his name, reminding him that he wasn't alone in this fight. It was a moment of unity, a collective stand against bias and injustice that resonated deeply within the community. People of all backgrounds were coming together, united by a shared vision of a world where kindness wasn't met with suspicion, but embraced as a virtue. Back at home, Caleb's life began to change in ways he never imagined. Schoolmates who had previously kept their distance now approached him with words of encouragement, applauding his bravery. Teachers invited him to speak about his experience in classrooms, turning his story into a lesson about empathy and the importance of helping one another. Caleb realized that his journey was inspiring others to act with kindness, sparking conversations about race, privilege, and the need for understanding. But even as he basked in the glow of the newfound support, Caleb remained aware of the work still to be done. The city council's promises were a start, but he knew that real change would take time and continued effort. He decided to join local organizations advocating for police reform and community engagement, channeling his energy into making a difference. Each week, he attended meetings, spoke at events, and shared his story, not just for himself, but for others who had felt silenced. His courage became a beacon of hope, encouraging those who had experienced similar injustices to come forward and share their truths. Caleb learned that his voice could be a powerful tool for change, and he was determined to use it. Months later, as he stood in front of a crowd at a community event, Caleb realized how far he had come. "I was scared when this all started," he told the audience, his voice steady and confident. "But I learned that kindness is powerful. It can change lives and inspire hope, even in the darkest of times. Let's keep pushing for a world where everyone feels safe to help one another." With each word, he could feel the strength of the community behind him, and he knew that together they could create a lasting impact. Caleb's journey had transformed him from an ordinary kid into an extraordinary advocate for change, and he was ready to continue this fight, fueled by the kindness that had always lived in his heart. As Caleb and his family settled back into their routine, they sensed a profound transformation, not only within their community, but also within themselves. What began as a simple act of kindness had blossomed into a powerful narrative of resilience and justice, igniting discussions about fairness and equality in their town. Reflecting on their journey, Caleb realized that life can often feel unjust, but courage has the remarkable ability to turn pain into purpose. His family's relentless fight for his innocence achieved more than just clearing his name. It served as a powerful reminder that even small acts of kindness can create significant ripples in a world that sometimes feels resistant to change. Once seen as a mere child, handcuffed for showing compassion, Caleb was now being invited to share his story at community events. His narrative inspired others, shifting perceptions of him from that of a troublemaker to a beacon of hope. With each retelling of his experience, more hearts opened, and more individuals recognized that kindness and courage could triumph over prejudice and injustice. Caleb's family understood that their journey was far from over. There were still battles to be fought, injustices to confront, and valuable lessons to be shared. Yet, in that moment of reflection, they felt a deep sense of pride and peace. They knew that Caleb's story had sown seeds of change within their community. His innocence, bravery, and their unwavering support demonstrated that kindness could indeed change the world, one heart at a time. If Caleb's story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring real-life stories that highlight the incredible power of kindness and resilience. Your support helps spread these important messages.